We got sound? Sound is good? Oh, okay. All right. Was wondering what happened to the, because I wasn't getting sound on my end. Sound is good. Okay. All right. Just double checking. Nathan, good evening to you. Flood the chat with no. Oh, don't even think about it, Latrell. Don't even think about it, bruh. Don't do it. Cindy bringing the fire with some Los Mobile. All right. Nice. Nice. All right, what are we in? We're in like about 4 minutes in. This should be good to go. We go ahead and turn the music down and we can start the show. Let's do it. All right, my good people. Happy Friday, one and all. There we go. All right, we should have video and we should have audio. Appreciate you guys giving me the sound checks and the video. Make sure that I'm good. I don't have the YouTube stream up. I'm just working with OBS Streamlabs. So hopefully I could see everybody's comments okay. All right, good. I think we're in good shape. Where's that Sneed Wireless? Working on it. Big shout out to Jarko and appreciate that super chat getting us started right on this Friday. It is May 7th, 2021 at the time of this live stream. What I want to do with today's show is I want to cover a handful of topics. Nothing too intensive. You know, we already covered earnings reports from a lot of the carriers last week, you know, and weeks prior, actually. So we had, like, Verizon report, then it was AT&T. Then we got, like, Comcast, Charter, and, you know, then we got T-Mobile last week. So that's all done. That's all in the rearview mirror. The focus of tonight's show is going to be cellular network technology innovations. And there's tons of them, and they're happening, it feels like, basically every week. Very excited about all of them. You guys know I'm big on millimeter wave. I think millimeter wave is a mega game changer for a lot of people. I know a lot of people view millimeter wave as like a city connection. They think urban, they think, you know, city center and the New Yorks of the world, the CLEs of the world, San Francisco, LA. It's just not the case. And I've said time and time again, based on the reports that I've read and the surveys and the investigations of, you know, these are money firms. They run these analysis reports, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out what's the most cost-effective way to build out a 5G network. And it always includes millimeter wave because I don't think you can effectively do capacity without it. Of course, mid-band is crucial. I'm not downplaying the importance of mid-band. Low-band has its place getting signal indoors and, you know, all of that great propagation characteristics. I get all that. I'm not saying that those things don't matter. But I know, based on where the technology is today, millimeter wave is not only great today, but it's going to only get better. And these innovations and the research and the trials, it indicates that, honestly. I mean, when I first did a speed test and got a gigabit per second, when it was brand new, I knew it had incredible potential. Cellular handoffs were troublesome. Holding onto the signal was difficult. A lot of that stuff has been improved. It's not flawless. There's going to be some other things that have to happen. But I'm telling you guys, it's going to be amazing. And it's going to bring legitimate capacity to a lot of people, including in rural America. So let me get started first with this first story. This one is actually out of U.S. Cellular. For those of you that don't know, U.S. Cellular is a regional carrier, and they're basically like the fourth largest carrier right now because Dish doesn't exist yet, really. The innovation itself by U.S. Cellular and the millimeter wave technologies, it's all about rural America. They're not going to be able to compete with Verizon or even AT&T when it comes to big city development of millimeter wave. It's really going to be about rural America expansion. What's up, Yasmin? You want to say hi to everybody?
I got an outfit for my bear today.
Oh, that's really cute. Yasmin's here. She got a new outfit for her teddy bear. It's really cute, Yasmin. It's nice. You know, I'm doing my podcast right now.
And next time I go to the bear city, I'm going to get a wig for her.
Okay, we're going to do that for her. Okay?
I'm sad, Daddy.
No, don't be sad. Why are you sad?
Mama left.
Okay, that's okay. You want to watch a show?
Watching snow.
You know I got to do my show, Yasmin.
I'm watching Stillwater.
Okay, I'm going to finish my podcast. I'm going to come up and finish watching Stillwater with you, okay? All right. Love you. Yeah, she disrupted the live stream. What are you going to do? All right. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, millimeter wave has consistently been thought of as this ultra-high speed, limited range, urban city center use case application. And that is true. It is that, and it is all those things. But with these trials that U.S. Cellular is showing us is that there's potential in other venues and other applications and other places. All right, so 7 kilometers of range in their trial testing. That's about 4.3 miles. And they're saying that average speeds over that range came in at about 1 gigabit per second. So let me tell you why I'm excited about those trials. Number one is the range. 7 kilometers, 4.3 miles is pretty good range. I'm impressed. I've never got it to really work in the urban setting or suburban setting beyond maybe 2,000 feet, right? So we're talking about a little bit under a half mile, so that's encouraging. Also, what's encouraging is the average speed. They're saying they're getting gigabit speed at that range. So that's good. You know, it's not just the fact that they were able to stretch the signal and then only get like 200 megabits or 300 megabits. They stretched it and still got a gigabit, which, again, if you're going to improve the technology, if you're going to add more spectrum, the speed can increase. The testing was done in Wisconsin. They utilized a 28 gigahertz millimeter wave frequency. The vendor was Ericsson. They provided the hardware, so the radios, the base stations. Qualcomm was involved. I'm guessing that's the modem technologies, along with Inseego. Just so you know, as just an aside, uplink speeds were at about 55 megabits per second. It's pretty good. So here's why I think this is important. Previous testing had the maximum range at 5 kilometers. So that means they added some range, right? And that previous testing at 5 kilometers was at 100 megabits per second. So they increased the range and increased the speed tenfold. So in my opinion, very promising. I'm big on millimeter wave, and I'm big on this range improvement and the capacity improvement. U.S. Cellular is going to be taking millimeter wave to the next level in rural America, probably starting next year. So commercially, it'll be available. So if you have a millimeter wave phone and they've got millimeter wave nodes up, you'll be able to connect to it. No, it wasn't in Madison. It was somewhere else. I forget. In discussing the technology and discussing the application, U.S. Cellular said they're going to be bringing service through millimeter wave technology to households and businesses. To me, that screams fixed wireless. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to create a new revenue stream for themselves. So not just offering mobility, but also doing the fixed wireless. What they're calling the last mile of connectivity, I tend to agree. I think fixed wireless is the last mile of connectivity. Not every part in America is going to be getting fiber. And, cable companies don't necessarily like to build out where it's not cost effective and the return of investment is going to be 50 to 100 years. So they're not really willing to do it, but maybe fixed wireless becomes the better option for them and for those people. The fiber situation, fiber is the end game. Okay, fiber is the best option. The reliability, the latency, the throughput, the capacity, the dedication of having that line to your home or your business, it can't be beat. But it's cumbersome, right? It's not easy to deploy. It takes a big time commitment from a company that wants to spend and get a return on that investment. So it's exhausting. It's time consuming. It can be intrusive if they got to bury the cable, or the fiber. The nice thing is when they get to hang it with the electric company's gear, that works out a little bit nicer. I think what this indicates is that people, including the companies themselves and customers, I think people are starting to come around to millimeter wave. I think they're starting to see the potential. I'm not saying millimeter wave is perfect, and I'm not saying it's ready for prime time. It's going to take a couple of years, not only to build it out, but to improve it and make it really reliable. And we need a couple more innovations and commercially launched helpers for millimeter wave, like the pivotal technology from Comware, the repeaters, the echoes, the pivots. There's a couple other companies too that are doing it. That stuff is going to have to happen too. It's going to have to be commercially available and then, deploying grand scale. But millimeter wave has come a long way. I mean, I remember testing it in 2019. It was a nightmare. You couldn't hold the signal. You turned around, it was gone. You were lucky to get a gigabit speed. The uplink was non-existent. It was just the same as LTE. It was really touchy. It wouldn't hold. It was all those things. You needed line of sight, all those things. But a lot of that stuff has changed. Now the connections are more reliable. They're more stable. We're getting handoffs from node to node, which are very clean. They're not skipping a beat. And the resilience of the signal is better. It's working through glass. It's working around trees. It's finding its way in places we didn't think it would, at least not early on. Carlos is connecting through, these shops in Vegas, through glass and such. So it's finding its way in places we didn't think it was going to work. And Rural America is another one of those applications. And I did say in a podcast last year, I want to say if it was maybe in like November or December, millimeter wave is overachieving up to this point. It's a lot better than people said it could be. It's already exceeded my expectations up to this point. So everything from here is all upside. And Verizon is proof that when you invest in the technology and you take it seriously, what you can do with it. And of course, millimeter wave is an investment technology. It's not done. It's not even close to being beyond its infancy stages. I remember when people used to talk smack about midband. They used to say, midband it has no range and it has no penetration in homes and all that. And here we are talking about how midband is the best thing since sliced bread. Millimeter wave is going to be that too. Right? And I'm so excited about these innovations. And this is U.S. Cellular we're talking. We're not even talking AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile. We're talking about the fourth largest carrier in the country. Their regional carrier. And they believe in millimeter wave making a difference in their fixed wireless. And also, they'll connect to mobility when they can. It looks like it's going to be more for fixed. And I said this before. Proper 5G networking requires a millimeter wave layer. It absolutely does. And it is the ultimate capacity layer. You're going to need a lot of midband to match the capacity of millimeter wave. Verizon has 800 megahertz launched in all these cities. I think AT&T's got 400 megahertz launched. The more they add, the better our hardware gets. The more investment goes into the technologies, it just gets better. U.S. Cellular is proof of a company believing in it once they saw, the proof of concept. I'm telling you, man. Latrell, it's like there's applications. There's situations where you're just going to have both. No network is complete without an entire layer, Mr. Ciova, my dude, what is up? I agree, Bear. I think US Cellular does a good job of covering their network. They do. They cover their customers well. All right, so we'll see once beamforming gets going and, the extenders come into play, the repeaters, as well as, any of these pivots. People are going to want to get extender hardware into their homes to improve the signal and get better speed. But, man, the future is bright for millimeter wave. Verizon is proving it. AT&T's improved. I don't know, whenever T-Mobile decides to get that going on a grand scale. And then, of course, here's US Cellular taking it to rural America. Very good. For those of you that live in a US Cellular market where they serve you, be on the lookout next year for them to start introducing it to markets. And if that becomes a viable option, if you don't have fiber that's going to your home and your cable ISP sucks, like if you have Cox or if you're pissed off at Comcast, US Cellular could be your answer. They're probably going to sell the service similar to what cable ISPs sell their services for in these areas. So if cable ISPs are like, I don't know, if they're selling like $70 a month and they're giving you like 150 down, 200 down, 300 down, 500 down, this is going to be a comparable product. I think it's going to sell for a similar price and it's going to perform similarly once they work through some of those testing trials and they actually get the hardware set up. Give it a couple years, more and more will come up because they're going to monetize it. So they're going to be looking to expand it and let it grow. Who knows if Verizon will go out to those places? Who knows if AT&T is going to do anything with fiber in some of those places? But it's another option. If US Cellular was around here and they offered this to me, it would be a consideration. Absolutely. Most definitely. All right, so that's the millimeter wave story for US Cellular. Big time, big time. All right, another trial update, and I'll just kind of make this as an aside. Verizon's been doing the trials with millimeter wave and C-band carrier aggregation. I covered that in a video a couple of days ago. You guys can check it out. It's in my catalog. Go through, check that out. That's an interesting innovation. So a lot of stuff happening in wireless technologies. Super excited about these things. Speaking of fixed wireless, there are new reports coming out that the fixed wireless marketplace is bigger than we once thought. A lot of people view fixed wireless having the potential to cover that last mile of connectivity, which automatically right off the rip means it's going to be meaningful to a lot of people. I don't mean a lot like 100 million people. I mean a lot like several millions of people. It's going to be impactful and people want it. They have interest in it. The newest reports out of Camel Group, they've got a report and a survey that they've been conducting. They've been working on this, I think, since 2016. So they appear to be an organization that is constantly collecting data, analyzing data, and trying to figure out who wants fixed wireless. The estimated number of customers on fixed wireless in 2023 is estimated to be 10 million customers. I don't know if it's 2023 or 2022. I think 2023, which is just a couple of years away, right? It's like a year and a half, basically, of the beginning of 2023. 10 million customers on fixed wireless, according to the report. They are estimating that it could be a business of $4.4 billion in revenue at that time. Obviously, mostly regional carriers are the only ones doing it now. But there's two companies that are going to want to go national with this. The first is T-Mobile, and the second is Verizon. AT&T is not going to be doing fixed wireless on a grand scale. They're very selective about where they put it. And then the other option might be US Cellular. But of course, they're going to be greenfield in 5G. So it's really going to be about how much can they scale and in what markets they're going to offer it. So that's going to be limited too. So really it's Verizon and T-Mobile that are going to be driving the fixed wireless access national. Now, up to this point, it's been all LTE. But moving forward, it's going to be a 5G focus. They say that there's more spectral efficiency and, the latency is going to improve and all these things. So, yeah, it makes sense. You're moving in the 5G direction. But LTE is a thing, too, especially with CBRS, especially with T-Mobile, launching both 5G and LTE upgrades nationwide as they work through that. So it's going to be a combination of both. But a big player out of this 10 million customers, T-Mobile wants to be in 7 to 8 million homes in 5 years. So they would essentially account for probably at least half of those customers by 2025, right? So if they're saying there's going to be 10 million customers by 2023 national, and maybe extrapolate that to like 15 or 20 million by 2025, T-Mobile's going to have 7 or 8 of those millions. They're going to have like an almost 50% market share. I think by 2025, I would probably expect Verizon to be there too. I really do. Especially because they're going to serve very urban environments as well, which there's a lot of people there. So they're going to have bigger market share to take from. I think they both get to their mark. I think both T-Mobile and Verizon with fixed wireless end up 7 to 10 million by 2026. I think that's easy to do, right? Because clearly by this report, people are interested in fixed wireless. Verizon wants to generate a revenue of at least $1 billion from their fixed wireless services by 2023. That would probably put them at about 2 million subscribers. Also in the report, fixed wireless cost of deployment. This is interesting stuff. This is where the analytics comes into play. The amount of money it costs to deploy fixed wireless to a customer is estimated to be $500. Let me tell you why that's important. If it costs $500 to take fixed wireless access to a customer, you probably want to know, well, what does it cost to run cable, right, to that same customer? What does it cost to run fiber to that same customer? I got the numbers. Fixed wireless, it costs $500. It costs $2,200. And fiber, it costs $4,500. Let's look at those numbers. $500 for fixed wireless. If you think about how much that costs, basically in a year, there's a return of investment for that address. So if Sneed was going to get fixed wireless access from T-Mobile today, and it cost them $500 to do that, which for them, I don't think it does, right? Because they have pre-existing infrastructure. For them, it's probably half of that, right? The return of investment is instantaneous. It's either less than a year or about a year to get that money back. So if the customer likes the service and stays with them beyond a year, it's all profit after that. It's all just solid. It's just gains. It's money in the bank. And then obviously, you look at cable, it's going to cost them $2,200 to deploy that. It's going to take longer to return that investment. It's going to take 10 years, right? It's going to take 5 to 10 years to return that investment. And then for fiber, it's going to take a couple of decades. But it's a better product. You could sell it for more, so that reduces that operation cost. So, obviously, there's more potential with fiber. There's more capacity with fiber. There's more reliability with fiber. But honestly, fixed wireless makes sense. The people are speaking. They are interested in fixed wireless. Verizon's going to do it. T-Mobile's going to do it. The companies are in on fixed wireless. It's going to be a thing. Now, my question to you is this, and you guys can let me know in the live, or if you're watching this on replay, hashtag replay crew, hashtag 2live crew if you're watching this in the live. If the government was going to fund broadband programs and initiatives, which segment of broadband are they going to give the most money to? Which of the three scenarios has more potential for companies to want to take that investment on. Fixed wireless costs companies $500 to get to new customers. Cable's $2,200, and fiber is $4,500. I feel whatever programs the Biden administration puts into place, whatever initiatives are put together by the federal government to expand broadband connectivity, I think they're going to look at fixed wireless as the best option. It's cost effective, it has less infrastructure needed, and it will effectively serve customers as well as fiber and cable. So, Barry brings up the point, government always wastes money on the least effective method available. I believe in fixed wireless. I've connected to millimeter wave. I've connected to larger channels of midband. So I believe in fixed wireless. And I think that fixed wireless has gotten very dependable. What's wrong, Yasmin?
Disney Plus is not working.
Okay, I'll be up to fix it in a minute, okay? Mm-hmm. You can use your iPad if you want.
It's dead.
Okay, charge it. Here. You want to use this one? Disney Plus? Here.
If I had Mama's phone, then I could play a game.
I know. I'm going to download some games for you too.
Because she has
I got to finish the show.
Ninja and a bear game.
I got to finish the show. My bad, y'all. Okay. All right, y'all. We're back. Okay. So I made it pretty clear that I'm a believer in fixed wireless. I think it's that last mile of connectivity. I think it's cost effective. I think it makes sense. Where's your Build-A-Bear? I don't know. I think this is going to work, and I think the government will get behind it. It just seems like it's going to happen. Hey, people look like they're interested. Companies look like they're interested, and it looks to make business sense. All right. Next piece of news. Samsung 5G trials. The testing took place in South Korea. 5.23 gigabits per second on a single device. So let me give you guys let me give you a base measure, like a benchmark of what I have tested in the CLE when it comes to millimeter wave. I have tested probably my max downlink speed was like 3.4 gigabits per second, maybe 3.5. The highest uplink I've seen is about 200 megabits per second. Big shout out to Apple Watts. I think he's gotten 3.7 or 3.8 gigabits down, and I think he's gotten like 300 megabits on the up. I think that was in Arkansas or Dallas, I forget. There is so much potential in millimeter wave. I mean, I started the show with it, and I'm going back to it here. But this is an interesting testing trial, because here's why. I'm going to give you guys these details. They used not just 5G millimeter wave, but they also used 4G to boost the connection. So basically what they did was they were using carrier aggregation. So they got 5G channels and they've got 4G channels, 40 megahertz of LTE, 800 megahertz of millimeter wave, 5.23 gigabits per second on a single device. It's incredible. Wait till you hear the phone that did it. It was the S20 Plus, a flagship from 2020 from last year. So we're not even talking about the Samsung Galaxy S21. We're talking about the S20, last year's flagship. Incredible, right? So cool. I'm super stoked about this because it's showing us the potential of even a non-standalone connection. By non-standalone, we mean it's a 4G LTE and a 5G connection, right? If it was standalone, it wouldn't need the LTE. It would just stand alone on 5G. Here's why I'm excited about this, and here's who I think is going to do something like this. Watch out for Verizon Wireless. The reason I think Verizon is going to do this is because Verizon has been heavily leveraging CBRS. CBRS is LTE band 48. I've been connecting to 60 megahertz of it, sometimes 40 megahertz. Very similar to the LTE connection in these trials. They were using 800 megahertz of millimeter wave. So does Verizon. And that's all currently. The CBRS potential for Verizon in some markets is like 100 megahertz. They could use 60 or 70 megahertz of unlicensed, and they also have 30 to 40 megahertz of their license that's going to deploy this year. I think this summer, actually. Plus, they've got 800 megahertz of millimeter wave they can deploy right now, but that can also go beyond that in the future with newer phones. All I'm saying is whether it's non-standalone or it's standalone, there is so much good in these carrier aggregation setups. What made LTE so good? As it was kind of evolving past 2014 and 2015. It was carrier aggregation. It was getting multiple channels banding together to create incredible capacity that we hadn't been able to achieve before. I'll never forget the first time I got a 40 megabit per second connection on Verizon. And I was like, holy cow, right? I thought it was incredible when I hit 10 megabits per second on a single carrier. Then they started to aggregate carriers, and it was like, oh my goodness. And then they got band 66. It was a game changer. Total game changer. The same thing that happened to LTE is going to be the same thing that happens to 5G. We need to get carrier aggregation to theoretically double and triple the throughput. Because a lot of these 5G connections are going to be leveraging the connections for fixed wireless and for home internet. So all that capacity is going to be utilized, right? All of that potential can be put to work. Now for mobility, everybody's always like, man, what phone is going to need 3 gigabits per second? It's not the phone. It's not a single device. It's having capacity for like 1,000 devices, 10,000 devices at a game, right? At a stadium, at an arena. It's about fixed wireless connecting 15 homes on one side of a street on a single node. It's not about one device. I've been trying to drive that point home to some people. Some people are kind of dense and they don't really get it. They don't let it sink in. Gigabit speed is not for your phone. Your phone can do gigabit speed. There might be the application that you might want to hotspot a few devices, right? You got a millimeter wave phone, you got a millimeter wave connection, you got a couple of friends with you, their network is bogged down or slow, and you want them to experience ultra wideband, boom, you got it, right? There's use cases and applications that require that capacity. And of course, the latency is going to be lower with these 5G connections. 5 milliseconds, 3 milliseconds, 2 milliseconds, right? So another thing that I'm excited about are these trials where these devices can achieve this. And then, exactly, Latrell, hotspotting for your laptop, uploading YouTube videos on the go, right? Getting 300 megabits uplink, 500 megabits uplink, hotspotting several devices, 10. You're at the family barbecue. Everybody's network is bogged down. Millimeter wave is available at the park, and you're watching the fireworks, and there's 1,000 people. You're good. It's incredible. Very, very excited about this. All right, let's go ahead and transition to the next topic. All right. This one's interesting, and again, I like to cover all angles of networking. I've already talked about mobility. We've talked about fixed wireless extensively. Let's talk about satellite. I think it's a noteworthy story that I think you guys will appreciate. Okay. Now, this story in particular is going to be out of Starlink. So you guys know Elon Musk. You know what he's up to these days. It's all good. He's Dogecoin and all that. But he still has a business he's trying to get it going. He's trying to do this home internet thing. And he's got a certain type of, customer that he's looking to serve. This is not for everybody. Nonetheless, it is for some bodies. All right? So here's where I'm going with this. Starlink came out and said in a press release, that support for users is higher than expected at this moment in time. They have no problem giving people 150, 200, 300 megabits per second with their Starlink home internet service. By the way, they're going to be sending out hardware for mobile RV users. Boats, ships, trucks, mobile homes. Starlink is going to be really useful for a lot of people. Notice that I'm not talking about suburban, urban, right? Maybe suburban, but not really. It's really about everybody except urban. Just doesn't make sense there. So currently the service is in beta. You can pre-order. It becomes available to you. You know, you can get the service. They're serving their 500,000 customers right now without any issues. No hiccups, no flaws, no major outages. They're getting some downtime here and there. I mean, it's still in beta, you know. I said the same thing about T-Mobile, right? Having the hiccups during beta, totally understandable. They're in beta for over a year. You know, here's Starlink. They've been up and running for like 3 months, and you know, they're doing pretty good. I guess they do have occasional outages. They're working through those things, but it's getting good, and it's getting good fast. But Starlink also came out today and said it's going to be really hard for them to serve millions of customers at this point in time. Okay, so they're telling us something. High capacity use cases are not really achievable at this moment in time. They're not going to be able to serve millions of customers currently in the way that the network is operating. So if you live in an urban area, this is not really for you. If you live in a rural area, it is most definitely for you. If you live in a really extended area, almost like desolate in development, you live on like the side of a mountain range or a ginormous hill in the Smoky Mountains, that's who it's for. This is a painful reminder that Sneed Mobile Tech and the CLE is really not the customer that this service is designed for. The person who lives in Chicago, the person who lives in Philly, heck, the person who lives in Orlando, Florida, you know, Dayton, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, Indianapolis. This is not for you. Their goal is to meet the needs of people who have no other options, or maybe one other option like DSL, or a really horrible, crappy, you know, cable operator who's not investing in infrastructure. Or like I said, for the mobile RV, you know, for the trucker, for the the boats, the cruises, the yachts, that sort of thing. Anyways, they got 500,000 orders for the service right now since February. $99 a month. You got to pay $4.99 for the hardware up front. And the FCC clearance for this, I think they were saying they got to get permits for this. They got to get clearance. But they want to get low orbiting satellites going too. That's huge. If they can get the low orbiting satellites, the service is going to improve so much. Obviously, capacity will get better because there's more satellites, but also the latency is going to drop. So we're talking, 40, 50 millisecond ping times. The latency is a little high. Gamers out there, you like to see it a little bit lower. Remember, latency is a good measure of network quality, a quality connection. How fast does it connect to the network? So low latency applications, Starlink wouldn't really be for you unless they get these low orbiting satellites. That brings the ping time down. So, hey, if they get those low orbiting satellites, we got something legit. Here's the thing about the Starlink service. I think those low orbiting satellites are going to get granted. Expect that probably by the end of this year, things to kind of get underway on that part of the project. Just think about what's happening right now in internet. The internet requirement has increased. The demand for internet providers has increased. Faster download speeds, more capacity, better uplink as well, latencies, gaming, 5G IoT. We have a new satellite player, screw Intelsat, screw Viasat, screw HughesNet. Right? This is going to be better. We got fixed wireless coming as well, national, from multiple wireless ISPs. We still have cable. Big cable is going to have to compete if they want to stay in business. And then you have fiber options. We're about to see a renaissance in home internet services for a lot of people. So if there's 340 million people in the U.S., and we've got, I don't know how many homes. I have no idea. What do you guys think? You think there's 100 million homes in the U.S.? I don't even know. 80 million? Who knows? If there's that many addresses that need to be served, you know there's a sizable amount of people that need a decent satellite option. There's no infrastructure where they live. T-Mobile's not going to go to a side of a mountain. Heck, Verizon's probably not going to either. Fiber is definitely not going out there. Cable ISPs won't. Man, cable ISPs don't want to do anything. But satellite makes sense. And I think there's a lot of room for potential in making deals between Starlink and other wireless service providers. Roaming agreements, getting covered, that sort of thing. I know people would pay. More satellites are needed to get the capacity. We're going to need those low orbiting satellites too. It's going to take a few years, but I think by 2025, we're going to have a completely different home ISP landscape. The haves and the have-nots, the doers and the do-nots, those with quality networking, those with horrible networking, it's all going to be sifted through. We're going to know who's who. I expect T-Mobile to be legitimate in fixed wireless, Verizon as well. US Cellular is going to make some noise. Starlink is going to be unrecognizable by 2025. They're going to have so many satellites up there. They're going to have legit capacity as a satellite operator. Super stoked and excited about that. What else we got here? This is just a little aside to that. Intelsat and SES. These are satellite operating companies. They're getting paid. First of all, their services suck. And there's a reason why they're getting phased out. But they're getting paid. They're about to bank. You know why? C-band. They're about to make huge buku bucks off of the clearance of C-band. Decom and repacking for Verizon, AT&T, and even T-Mobile. They're all going to be paying clearance costs, early accelerated clearing costs to these companies, Intelsat and SES. These companies haven't really been making this kind of money. All their revenues are down. People have moved away from their services. They found greener pastures, more reliable, better, performing options. They're basically going out of business in a way. I mean, they'll still say operating, I'm sure, in some capacity, but they're not going to do what they used to do. But they've got their golden goose, C-band. The clearing costs are astronomical, right? They're going to do the early and rapid clearing of C-band for Verizon and AT&T for Block A of C-band. It's going to generate them $10 billion. And they're saying that at the time of clearance on December 5th, they're going to get like 1.5 or 2 billion bucks. I don't know. It's some huge number. Right off the rip to have Block A ready. Man, it must be good to do nothing. So they've been operating using this C-band for so long, and their business has basically fizzled. There's no growth. It's going nowhere. It's hit a brick wall. But here's their golden goose. The clearance costs are going to generate them billions of dollars. Man, must be good to suck. So for those of you that are like, I don't know if people are invested in Viasat and Intelsat and SES, I don't know. Or if you're a business, you know, you're in the management teams of these companies, man, you're about to have some nice bonuses. Big time money. We'll see how it plays out. They've got to hit that December 5th deadline. Who knows? Maybe they clear it even earlier, and then Verizon starts transmission and broadcasting in October, November. Maybe AT&T does. They're both building out the hardware side. They're doing the radios. They're doing the antennas. They're doing the basebands. So if that happens sooner, I mean, who knows? Maybe they get paid even more. All right. All right. Let's close out the show. Last little bit here. I have here the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus. This phone, I just unboxed it. I actually didn't do a video to unbox it. I don't even like doing unboxings. This is not my style. Anyways, I opened the box, look through the box. You get a phone, and you get a charging cable and a SIM card ejector tool. That is it. You don't get a charging brick. You don't get headphones anymore. It's a skinny box with a phone and a cable, and that is it. If you plan on buying any flagship devices in the future, that's all you're going to get from this point moving forward. A cable, the phone, inside the box. SIM ejector tool, that's it. Anyways, this phone, I've been using it for very lightly for like a few days. I want to give you my first impressions on this device and whether or not it's a go or it's a no. Now, honestly, I can't make my final verdict, but I want to give you my first impressions. So I have the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus. I think this is the 256 gig version. Big shout out to Los. Good looking out, dog. No, it's 128 gig edition. Okay, so I didn't even get the 256. No problem. I won't use all the storage. They don't have an SD card slot in there anymore. They don't have a headphone jack anymore. So these are all things you got to know. Anyways, I have the black version. It's nice. Build quality is great. It's sturdy. It's heavy. It's a really elegant design. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's attractive. It's all those things. You don't want to drop this phone. It's a glass sandwich. That's not new. That's been the design language for a while. Anyways, it feels great to hold it. It feels elegant. It feels luxurious. This is the bee's knees of Android hardware. Okay? Let me tell you what really matters to me, though. I'm not like feels good in the hand guy, you know, pause. I'm not like elegant design. It's not, I like Google phones, you know, I like simplicity sometimes. So like, that's not a big deal to me. Here's what's incredible about the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus and why a lot of people are going to love this phone if they buy it. And probably the fact that they already did buy it. The display is gorgeous. It is super bright. The colors are very saturated, very bold. Samsung does the best displays. Nothing is even close. Absolutely love the display. I know it's not 1440. It's not Quad HD anymore. This one's 1080p, just like the regular S21. So maybe you want to go to an Ultra if that's what you want. But the display is amazing. It has the punch hole at the top. Battery life has been really good. I haven't been using it much, but the standby has been excellent. So it's not like dying without using it. The software looks pretty good. It's intuitive. Lots of features. Cellular is kind of weird. I haven't tested millimeter wave yet. I'm going to be doing that this weekend. I'll get back to you guys on the millimeter wave performance. Sub 6 gigahertz is really good for 5G. The DSS on it has been excellent. The DSS on the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus, I'm using it on Verizon. The DSS is better than the iPhone. So Band 5, you know, that whole DSS thing, it's actually better than the iPhone. I'll tell you that right now. So the sub 6 gigahertz seems to be better. I've got more testing to do. I've got to do the millimeter wave testing. It does this weird thing in 5G when it connects to CBRS. When it's on 5G, it'll do band 5 DSS, it'll do band 2 and band 66 LTE, and it'll do one channel of CBRS. With the iPhone, if I turn off 5G, it'll connect CBRS 4 carrier aggregation or 3 carrier aggregation. So there's some kind of configuration happen there that's got to get fixed because that offers way better capacity. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to do more testing. I want to do some analysis of the millimeter wave and the LTE and the 5G and all that. But honestly, it's a really powerful phone. Everything seems to be a go so far. I'm going to try to figure out what's going on with that whole 5G DSS with CBRS and figure it out. So I'll let you guys know how it turns out. I'll do more videos and coverage on it. You'll see me testing it more alongside the iPhone 12. I'll test Verizon on both the devices and see which one is better. And of course, with C-band, I'll be able to test it with that phone. It'll be a go. All right, so it'll be my reference device for the year for Verizon. I'll probably start testing N41 on it at the end of the summer because N41 will be more deployed and I'll be done testing the Verizon side. When I test a phone with a network, I like to give it like 3 months of testing. So I could test it around the entire city. Downtown, suburbs, inner city, outskirts, in and around schools, in and around shopping centers. I like to give it the full treatment. All right, so, and that's one thing I'm going to check out too, Rob. I got to see if the 5G antennas are better on the S21 compared to the S20. I didn't mind the S20 5G antennas. I thought they were pretty good. The Note 10 Plus had great 5G antennas for the time. So I'm hoping that this will follow up and be just as good. Anyways, those are my impressions. That's everything for the show. Let me know if you guys enjoyed the show. You do that by hitting the thumbs up button. Let me do some shout-outs. All right. Big shout-out to Lawrence, Barry, Ethan, Mike, Baby Yoda, all my moderators, Dan, Carlos. I saw you guys, especially early on in the show. I saw a ton of my moderators. And big shout-out to Jar Cohen with the Super Chat as well. Max Tech Studios, Robert, Kimon. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I don't know if I missed any more of my mod squad. Hashtag mod squad. Let's also go ahead and hashtag Ravioli Gang if you were eating dinner or snacking while you're watching this. Appreciate you guys. Hashtag Replay Gang for those of you watching this on DVR. And hashtag 2Live Crew for those of you watching this in the live. Appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for all your support. Share this, get it fancy with the algorithm. Share it on Twitter, all those things. Appreciate it very much. Let's go ahead and transition to the outro. If it's your first time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload from the SMT. Check out the Patreon page. We got a link in the description box down below along with all the other social media things that we got going on. Also, I will be uploading all of these live streams, these podcasts, to Anchor. So I'll be on Apple Podcasts, Google. All right, got things straightened out with them. So if you like the audio version of these podcasts, you can catch them there. And that's it. You guys are the best, man. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. And appreciate you guys being a part of the nation. Thanks for all your support. And we'll catch you guys all on the next one. Let's ride out. DJ, kick the music. And if you made it this far, I know why. Yeah!
That sound, I got that heat, let's go.